For more on China and its regional relations, we're joined now by Qinduo Xu. He's a political analyst and adjunct professor in the School of Journalism at Renmin University. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with the South China Sea and China's meetings with ASEAN and the Philippines. The discussions seem to be much different than even a year ago when the Philippines dispute was heard by an international tribunal. So what did it take to seemingly turn these conversations around?
Well, you're right. This is a turnaround of the situation in the South China Sea. The significance of this round of discussion between China and ASEAN countries, and also between the Chinese side and the Philippine side, actually lies in this return to the normal track of negotiation. So this is the significance. For China and ASEAN, basically there's a framework for the code of conduct. So hopefully there's a deadline in August. The two sides will basically, they have already reached upon this, agreed on the framework, which will create some conditions for peaceful cooperation and also create conditions for settling the disputes peacefully. So that takes long, many years, 15 years to reach such a stage. That's a low-hanging fruit, but this is very encouraging. On the China-Philippine side also, this is for the first time, actually, the two sides sit on the negotiation table to settle their disputes basically through dialogue, through talks.
And I want to ask you about these changing dynamics. And do you think because there have been leadership changes both in the Philippines, and we'll get to the ROK in just a moment with what's happening with them, but do you think some of what is coming are from the people who've changed at the top?
Well, I think obviously, if you take a look at the change, one big change is in the Philippines, there's a new president less than a year ago. So President Duterte, the new president, obviously changed the gear of diplomacy toward China. He's very practical. He told his own people that, if Philippines is a small country, China is a big country, it is impossible to fight China if you choose to approach of a confrontation, even approach of like a military conflict. And also for the new government, it seems to me they don't have this entire trust in their U.S. ally. They often say the U.S. is thousands of miles away, and they are not sure if there's a real military conflict, the U.S. will come to their side. So there's a change of heart on the Philippine side. This is a critical part. And also overall, since the coming to office by President Trump, you see there's a pause, temporary pause at least, for the so-called freedom of navigation mission by the U.S. side. And I think this has also reduced the tension between China and regional countries, also among regional countries. So people are coming back to sense, we have to negotiate a way to manage the difference, manage the tension in this region.
And lastly, turning to the ROK, Chinese President Xi Jinping met with a special envoy from Seoul, and it seems like the new ROK president is not wasting any time reconnecting with China. What do you make of that move? And do you think there will be a relationship reset?
I would say so, yes. Obviously, from the South Korean side, they are basically relaunching their relationship with China, one of the important neighbor and also partner here. China is a key player in resolving the Korean Peninsula nuclear issue. So if you want to get ahead with this problem, you have to engage China. And secondly, China is the largest trading partner of South Korea. How large is that? Korea's trade with China is larger than its trade with Japan and the U.S. combined. So this is a critical partner for their economic development. So they can't afford to have a poor relationship, as it is after the THAAD system. And thirdly, for the Chinese side, the key standing block between the two countries really is the THAAD system, the anti-missile system here. And so there's hope that the new president, Moon Jae-in in South Korea, will find some solution which is satisfactory probably to China, to South Korea, and also to the U.S., such as the suspension of the THAAD system, or probably keep it at the primary stage instead of installing advanced basically parts to this system. So So because China considers that's a damage to its own national defense capability with that system. So somehow this system, this problem has to be sorted out. I mean, for the two countries to go back to their normal track, so-called.
All right, Qinduo Xu, thank you so much for joining us from Beijing.